Hey everyone! You've all been waiting for it. I've been saying that I'm eventually gonna talk about flowers again, and today is the day. I have my big flower order. Um, I bought my flower seeds from a different place than I've ever bought from. I bought from the company called, here, hold up a pack so you can see their symbol. Geo Seeds. There they are. I found out about this company on like a flower farming Facebook group, and this is the place that all the cool kid flower farmers buy their seeds from, and it was really fun to buy from it because it was like buying from nowhere else ever before that I've done. So Geo Seeds has amazing prices. They have an amazing selection, but they basically are kind of like a wholesale place to buy flower seeds from. They're not so much of a retail company, kind of like all the other companies that I've talked about buying my seeds from. Um, so one of the things that made it really fun to order from them is I'm not I'm not a huge fan of big fancy seed catalogs. Like I have no seed catalog from Geo Seeds to hold up, but in the other seed unboxings that I've done, I've been holding up showing you like these fancy glossy catalogs. Geo Seeds catalog that was like a PDF that I could read was all it was like a like a like a spreadsheet, and it was like this is the name, and everything was listed in Latin name only. There was a bunch of stuff that I had to I was like, oh, I know I want Snapdragons, but I don't know the Latin name off of the top of my head, and I had to, like Google Latin name for Snapdragons to find out where it was in their seed catalog. And there was no pictures. And like the descriptions were like very much descriptions about if they were good for cut flowers or not. It wasn't like, oh, a beautiful, no, like this is what it looks like type descriptions. So I loved that because I find seed catalogs way, way too tempting. Like this, like I hate having hard copy seed catalogs because I'll flip through them and then I'll be like, oh, maybe I want to do this, maybe I want to do that. And I can't do that. I need to be very, very specific, very focused. So this catalog was amazing to Geo Seeds. Highly appreciate their very untempting catalog. And then going to order from them was like, it felt really weird because it felt like it was like back in the 90s. It felt like so you had to like write down. They had like a form that you could then save like a PDF, and then you could like write into it. But it very much felt like you were supposed to print this out and like hand write in what you want and then fax it into the company. That was like the total vibe of it. And it was like you had all these things you were supposed to fill in. You're supposed to like fill in the price of the stuff. And it just, we're so used to like, oh, add 4 to cart, like do this, do that. It felt so weird to be, like typing out a list of what I wanted and then emailing the company like, oh, here's my credit card information in an email. It felt, it was like a blast from the past, like early internet days. And I think that the story is, from what I've seen people say, is the company, it's not a very big company. It's a pretty small company. And so, it hasn't made sense for them to put in putting in those type of computer programs and everything, take a lot of work and take a lot of expense to set up. And, they've been small enough for long enough that, they've been doing everything by hand. But yeah, so I put in my order. I typed it all out. I tried to make it as easy for them as possible. I did it in alphabetical order and then emailed it off. And then I got a phone call from them, being like, "Oh, we received your email, just like letting you know, like it's gonna be a little while until we mail it out." And then I think they're either in North Carolina or South Carolina. Here, let's see. Maybe their shipping labels on here. Yes, they're in Hodges, South Carolina. Yeah, and they were like, "Oh, like sometimes things get caught up at the border, so we can see you're in Canada, so it might take a little while for your seeds to come." But yeah, so despite it be feeling really weird to order from them, it all came without any hitches. Like they send like a nice it wasn't a copy of my email. They obviously have like at inventory system. They had a nice a nice printout of what I got. And they're really great for communicating with. I in the flower group where I heard people talking about them, people go on there and ask questions like, "Oh, Geo Seeds, like when do you guys think I'm gonna get my order?" And there's someone in that group who's like works at Geo Seeds, and they're like, "Oh, well, like just give us a call or send an email." Like, they're really responsive to communication. So even though it feels a little weird, it kind of gave it a really like personal feel. Like you really feel like you're supporting a company when that's kind of you're like actually dealing with a specific person. Um so I so because they are like a wholesale designed more for like large scale growers, they might not be the best place for all of you guys to consider buying your seeds from. They have $100 minimum, and most of their seed is sold like by quantity. It's kind of like in quantities of like 1,000 or like and so it's like, oh, I want to buy 10,000 seeds is kind of how the ordering set up. But they do have packets, but their smaller packets are their like smallest size packet. I think they called it like a trade pack. Um, is still very large. I think I only ordered trade packs from them. Because my flower farm isn't a large scale flower farm. It's quite small scale. So like here's this one. It has like 200 seeds in it, and that's like their smallest size. A lot of these were like kind of 200 seeds, 1,000 seeds, 500 seeds is kind of the minimums on them. So they're not necessarily like, oh, I'm putting in like a cutting garden in my backyard. They're not necessarily for that, that customer. But the stuff that I got from them is still going to be stuff that you can find other places. It's just their prices were really really good, and their selection. My goal in buying from people is sorry, is to, if I can't buy in Canada, to buy from as few places as possible, just to keep because shipping is so expensive for up to Canada, that just keeping it all to one place makes it a lot more affordable for me. So the size of my flower farm, it's only 1,000 square feet. So like, that's, I mean, that's big, but considering the volume of flowers that I get out of it, the cut flowers, when you're planting them as densely as I do for like the flower farm, like, so my beds, I have 50-foot beds, and I have 5 of them in my flower farm section because they're 4 foot wide. And in my 50-foot beds, I can fit 400 Zinnia plants. And then, each plant gives me, like 10, 20 like flowers over the season. So you can produce with flowers, you can produce a lot in a small space. Yeah. I'm going to be expanding a little bit for the flowers this year. These are my seeds. I'm hoping that most of this is going to fit into the 1,000 square foot garden. But I also am buying, I have another bulb and tuber order that I've made with a different company. And so I have 240 Dahlia tubers, and I have 1,000 Liatris, and I have a couple hundred lilies and things like that coming. And those aren't going to go in my flower farm. I think I'm going to have a couple beds of dahlias in a different section. And there's the section that we used last year for growing garlic. I'm starting, and that's the section that's right beside my flower farm when I do the farm tours. But that section I'm hoping to turn into, oh, my kitten. Gonna pull my blanket down. That section I'm going to turn into a perennial section. Oh, I got a crazy kitten. And yeah, so I'm gonna be putting in perennial flowers. One of the things I have in here is Achillea millefolium, which is yarrow. And so I'm gonna put in a bed of yarrow in there. I'm gonna I have some strawberries. I'm gonna put in a bed of chives. I'm gonna put in a bed of sorrel in there, maybe. But yeah, so it's that section is gonna have some of my flowers that are perennials, so then I just have everything that's perennial in one space. Okay, but let's get to these flowers. I'll go through this, and then I'll talk about what I have and my plan for what I'm gonna do in the flower farm a bit, and then we'll probably have time, and I'll be able to do questions and stuff. Oh, and yeah, so I see asking about Facebook group. If you guys ever want to get a hold of us, so we don't have comments on our channel because YouTube turned off our ability to have comments on our channel because of kids in our video stuff. That's why I've been trying to do a regular live video, because it's it's great to see the kind of stuff that you guys are interested in knowing about, even if I don't necessarily answer it right here in the video. I quite often go back after these videos are done and reread the chat just to see the type of stuff that you're asking, to know maybe what you need, what you would like to know in future videos. But yeah, so we don't have comments here, but it's not because we don't like hearing from you. We love hearing from you guys. So if you go into the description of most of our videos, and I'm pretty sure it's in this too, we'll have a section that has all of our contact information. I'm on Instagram a lot. I really like Instagram, and so I use that a lot. I'm quite active on there if you ever want to get a hold of us. But we also have a Facebook group that we post all my Instagram pictures and all these videos. Everything kind of goes into the Facebook group, and you can contact us there. And I think our email is also there too. Oh, thanks, Liz. Yeah, there's the link for our Facebook page. But yeah, if I know that a lot of people only use YouTube, and so that sucks, because then then there's no easy way for us to talk to you guys. But yeah, if you ever want to ask us a question, or just chat with us, feel free on any of those platforms. We don't have our comments turned off because we don't want to hear from you guys. It's just a YouTube thing. YouTube's weird. They have all these, there's lots of YouTube drama, but I don't care about that. What I care about is flower drama. There's gonna be lots of flower drama at our house this year because I'm gonna have so many flowers. Okay, so let's get into the flowers, and then we can do questions at the end too. But yeah, and as I said, even if I don't get to your guys' questions here, I take note of the stuff that people are asking over and over again, for things to do, to do in the video. Oh, name of our flower farm. So we don't have a flower farm. I call the section in our farm the flower farm, because I keep all the flowers together. But yeah, so the name of our farm is Red Roof Family Farm. You know, we I like You Can't Eat the Grass. I really like that as a name, but it doesn't make a very good farm name. People would be like, that's a weird farm name. And I'd be like, especially considering how much grass I have at my farm. But give me 5 years, guys. I got a 5-year plan for killing all grass on my 2.5 acres. It won't be long before it's all gone. And I also, part of my 5-year plan is March 1st, April 1st, and May 1st. I overseed any area that is lawn with white Dutch clover, because white Dutch clover is stronger than lawn, and it's a great lawn alternative because it feeds the bees and it's more drought tolerant. Oh, you got a shirt. Okay, I checked the, like, we've had, like, t-shirts up forever. And, like, I checked the other day, and a bunch of people have bought t-shirts. So I was like, oh, I'm the only person in the whole world who has, like, You Can't Eat the Grass swag. But now there's, like, about a dozen of us. Yeah, definitely 5-year plan. Okay, I, like, the problem with these live videos is I know that people watch them after. I could just sit here and gab with you guys, but let's get through the seeds first, then we'll gab, because then that way people who are watching afterwards can actually see what the seeds are without having to listen to me for like 2.5 hours just like gab with you guys about things like t-shirts. Yeah. Oh, the link for the t-shirts is in the description stuff too. It's on Teespring, which makes it nice and easy. Like I don't have to worry about dealing with international shipping. Then they're a good company. And so I got the hoodie, and I talked to someone who got one of our shirts, and they said that they're like, I've been really impressed with the screen printing for Teespring. Oh, Liz, you're amazing with the links. I also laugh. So there's all these moderators on here now, because apparently the other day when Ian was in here, he like made a bunch of you guys moderators. I'm so tech unsavvy. Like I know how to like kick people out when they're being annoying, but yeah, I appreciate all you guys helping me kick out trolls if we get any. Okay. Seeds. Okay, before I get into the specific seeds, I'm gonna talk briefly about the flower farm. So one of the, like, I've been laughing because so many of you guys are excited about me and flowers, and I don't actually know that much about flowers. I am a snob. I like things that you can eat. I'm a vegetable snob. So I didn't really grow very many flowers. Like in like all my I've been growing for 16 years. You know, there was very, very few flowers in that time. And in our old urban place, we had tons of sunflowers and stuff there, but I never planted a single sunflower. They were just like bird seed dropped in my yard that I let grow. So last year I was like, I'm going to learn about growing flowers. And so I decided to have this flower farm section so I could sell the flowers. And because like for me, because I'm a vegetable snob and eat like everything has to be edible snob, like I'm of the opinion that like flowers better get a job if they want to live at my house. If you want flowers, if you want me to like put in the effort, like you better make me some money. So obviously the only way that I was able to grow flowers is by having a flower farm, because then they're like pulling their weight at the farm. But yeah, so I like I decided I was gonna try growing flowers in the winter, and decided the way I was gonna try growing flowers to learn about growing flowers is that I was going to have this flower farm, and then I basically spent a bunch of the winter researching for flowers that would do well, just learning about growing flowers in general. And that is kind of the backstory to the flower farm. And then over the course of growing the flowers and picking and harvesting, and doing more research into flower farming, I found out that I need to for the flowers. The flowers last year were really beautiful. They looked great, but I didn't like how much effort the flower farm section took, in relation to how much effort it took to grow the vegetables. I realized that if I wanted to keep farming flowers, I needed to be more efficient at the flower farming. It was taking too many hours to pick, too many hours to make bouquets, compared to how much money I was making selling the flowers. They were beautiful. Like we loved having the flower farm just to look out at. We always were standing in front of it to take pictures because it was so beautiful. And we did put the flower farm near the house so that it was closer to like our yard area so we could enjoy it more. But yeah, so having grown all year, I realized I was when I designed my flower farm last year, I was very specific for stuff that would be easy to grow. And that's like, I made the video talking about all the flowers that I grew, and I do think that that's a good resource for new growers because everything in that list is super super easy to grow stuff. Like that's why I picked it because it was easy to grow for for just being able to do it as a new grower. So like I think that all the varieties that I grew last year are good for new growers. And like they all sold really well. Like zinnias, they're really easy to grow. They grow a huge amount of flowers per plant and they sell really well. They're beautiful. So for me it's, it sells well, easy, like perfect, right? Um so the one thing though is that I needed it to be more efficient. So the way this year I'm trying to be more efficient is that I'm being even more narrowed in with the amount, like with the specific things that I'm growing. As I stand here with this huge mountain of seed flowers. But no, like this is the flower farm this year is going to be a lot more focused. And one way that I'm doing that, which justifies having all these million packs, is last year for zinnias, for example, I so just I don't grow sweet peas because we get too hot. We go from like cold to hot. Like it's my area is just not great for sweet peas. People keep asking that. um, but like Liz, you're in the UK. You should do stuff about sweet peas because they're beautiful and everyone loves them. Okay, sorry. I said I was gonna try not to get distracted. Okay, so zinnias. This is what I'm saying. So last year, all the zinnias that I planted were mixes of zinnias, and it looked really beautiful. All the colors were all mixed together. But when I went to make bouquets, so I'd go out and I'd pick a bucket of zinnias. All like just pick down the line, and then it was a whole mix of colors. And then I'd come and I'd bring them into my garage to make bouquets, and I would be like, oh, I'm going to make a bouquet that has lots of pinks. So then I'd have to dig through the bucket and get pink zinnias to mix in with other pink things. And that process of having to dig for colors, not necessarily having a set, like, oh, I want to do 4 pink bouquets, but oh, I don't have enough pink because it's just random. That slowed me down on making the bouquets. So one of the things that I'm doing this year to be more focused, to be more efficient in the flower farm, is that instead of buying, so my favorite zinnia was Bennery's Giant, and instead of buying the mix and then just having all the colors, I wanted to have 4 colors, and I failed at that. I think I have like 5 or 6 colors, but I bought the colors separately. So this year when I go to plant, I'll have, Bennery's Giant Lime. That's one of the colors. And I'll have like all the lime together. And I'll go and I'll pick it and I'll be like, okay, I'm going to do a bouquet that uses all the lime ones. And then I have like a purple and I have an orange and I think I have a coral. So like I picked them so they're colors that I could mix together to make like all the colors look nice together if I want to do mixed colors, but they also are distinct colors. So if I wanted to do like just one color bouquets, I could, and then being able to pick the colors separately in the farm makes it so hopefully there will be some efficiencies. So that's one thing that was like my goal for going into this year, is growing the chunks of exactly the same thing. Another thing that I'm doing differently this year is I had tons of cosmos, and I found that the cosmos were really hard to pick, and I wasn't very sure how to use them in bouquets, so I'm cutting back on the cosmos a little bit. I'm still having some, but I'm doing them like no mixes, only specific colors. Sowing seeds. So I've been saying this for the last couple weeks. I was sick this this week. So I didn't get it done, but I'm making a video on how to start seeds, like a seed starting video. And like I'll definitely do a video on direct sowing, because I prefer direct sowing. I think everyone, if you can, should direct sow. But I'm Canada. I'm like zone 5 here. So I don't the earliest direct sowing I'll be doing is April. So, I still have snow. It like snowed yesterday. So it's it is what it is. Okay, so cosmos. I had a whole bed of cosmos last year. I found that they were really hard to take care of, hard to pick and hard to work with. So I'm growing less of those, and then what I'm putting in instead is this Gomphrena. I have no idea how to pronounce any of these Latin names. Gomphrena, and it's super cool. It looks like a purple clover flower. And it's supposed to be like grows really well in my area. Yeah. So basically I'm trying to be more focused on specific things so that I can have like a recipe for bouquets instead of bringing 50 bouquets to the market and every single one looks different. Ideally, what I'd like to do is bring 50 bouquets to the market and there's 10 specific bouquets and there's 5 each of that 10 bouquet. I also found at the market, because every single one of my bouquets look different, sometimes people got a little overwhelmed by choices. I feel like having choices, like having a handful of choices, but not having every single one look different will make it a lot easier for my customers too when it comes to selling these bouquets. I want them to be like, I like pink bouquets, and then I have pink. Instead of them being like, well, I want one that's pink, but like you have like 20 different pink, and I like can't pick which one I like better. So yeah, I want to make it easier for me to get flowers to sell and easier for my customers to just grab and go. So that's the goal for the flower farm this year. Okay, let's get into seeds. Half an hour and I still haven't talked about seeds specifically. Okay, so here we go. Gomphrena. Okay, so as I was saying, one of the things that I'm doing differently this year is rather than having mixes, I bought specific colors. So there's definitely a lot going on here. Oh, it has a bad smell. I don't know. The Gomphrena, so I had never heard of this Gomphrena before. The reason why I decided that I'm going to be doing it this year is I follow a handful of flower farmers who are in my area. That like, this is probably like a good just general tip. Um, as great as all of my advice is, the absolute best advice you can get is from someone really local to you. So for me to like, I hear about like I follow tons of flower farmers everywhere, but anytime I see like a flower farmer on Instagram. Instagram's where I do like a lot of my like engaging with like other people. But yeah, so anytime on Instagram I find out that there's a flower farm, in the general area around me, I'll follow them. And then that way I can see, when, like this last bit, I've been doing some research trying to figure out when Snapdragons will be ready. I'm like, maybe I can get Snapdragons ready in May. Last year they weren't ready until July. So I've been going around and looking at all of the pictures from last year on local flower farmers' Instagrams and seeing if they have any pictures of their fields showing what's ready in specific times, to try to get ideas of what is possible for me. So with the Gomphrena, never heard of it, but a bunch of the local flower farmers to me, they started having them pop up in all of their pictures in August and September. And I was like, what is this beautiful clover flower? And they're like, hashtag Gomphrena. And I'm like, okay, growing that this year. Yeah, so it is a little bit later. I think that's I think it said that these are like 100 days to flower. And I'm probably not going to start the Gomphrena too much ahead of time. I'll probably direct seed most of the Gomphrena. I might do like one tray that I'll start in April. Excuse me, to do transplants. But yeah, like the Zinnias and the Snapdragons and the basil that I grow, I'll do as seedlings ahead of time. And I have some seed dahlias, and that I'll start ahead of time. But I can actually get away with planting a lot of stuff direct seed and having it come ready quickly. It's just for me, for selling flowers, it's the same as for the farm. I'm a little bit more likely to do seedlings than I ever was as a home gardener, because if I can get something 2 weeks earlier at the farmer's market versus someone who's direct seeding, that means that maybe I don't have to have as much competition, and then I become the person that those people keep coming back to week after week. So like I'll be actually starting lettuce inside March 1st, same time as I start my tomatoes, because ideally I'd like to have lettuce ready in May. Whereas if I was, for me, home gardening, I would just direct seed lettuce, kind of end of April, beginning of May, for my own personal stuff. Oh man, deadheading. Like I had my flower farm, everything flowered, and I couldn't pick it because I had too much stuff and not enough time. So it all went to seed. Like the paths, because I have fabric down, the paths were like 4 inches deep in flower seeds. And like, it's nice when things self seed when you have like one and you want like one or two to come back the next year. But basically any seed on the ground that you don't want to grow is a weed. And so I'm very nervous about the flower farm this year. It's going to be a weedy mess. A weedy mess with flowers, but they're going to be growing in places that I don't want. So Yeah, it's I still don't know what I'm gonna do about that yet. I'm thinking about growing all my flowers in the landscape fabric just because I did such a bad job at letting weeds get everywhere. Do I plant by the moon? Hopefully not. Hopefully I don't run out of daylight hours. I was harvesting by the moon in the summer because I ran out of time. But okay. Let me list off what I have. Okay, so I said I bought, instead of doing a mix, I bought individual packets so I could have specific colors planted in groups. So this is Gomphrena, globosa, and I got Audrey, and then I got it in bicolor rose. I got purple, red, and white in Audrey. Um, And so the bicolor one is, I think that it's like white and purple. And then the purple red is like a deep, deep purple. And then the white is just like a clean white. We do till. I see that there. Because we have so much grass that we have to kill. But I do like no-till stuff. Ideally, eventually we'd be able to do like no till or low till, but we have some serious grass killing to do first. You get, as long as you keep on top of weeds, the no till works really good for like, keeping the weeds out. It seems like, once you have the weeds under control, if you till, then the weeds just go crazy again because you bring up all the weed seeds. But like we're in like weed hell for the next couple of years. I don't plant by moon cycles or anything like that. But I mean, I'd say that you should plant by your like weather more than you should plant by like moon cycles. Just because, like where you are is going to be different from where someone else is. So if you're planting by moon cycles, that seems pretty broad. I'd probably want to get more specific into, like what's my weather like this week? But one thing that goes along with the moon cycles is you really do need to be aware of daylight hours. So when your solstices are, when your equinoxes are, those are things that matter, and those correspond to the moon. Yeah, I got 240 Dahlia tubers, and if any of you guys are local, I know very few people on here are in the Kelowna area. But we bought all dinner plate Dahlia tubers, the 240, and we're going to pot up about half of them to do as like for sale for people who want to buy them for their own garden. Because we're gonna do a big seedling sale too. So we're gonna have all these, like, I'm gonna pre-start all the dinner plate Dahlias in these like 1 gallon pots. And so I'm excited because we have a pretty good mix of stuff. We have about what is it? I think there's 11 varieties, and like it was so hard to narrow it down, but I'm really happy with the mix that we have. And I think that the plan is we're gonna sell those for $10. The 1 gallon pots. Yeah, we got cafe au lait. We bought 40 cafe au lait, just because I know how much people like them, and lots of like really bright colors. I'm excited. I'm also excited. Here, I'll show you these. I've since questioned my decision to buy these, but I bought Dahlia seeds, and these are big, tall varieties. One of them is Pom Pom, and then the other one is Showtime. And so these get big and tall. I've since questioned the decision to do dahlias from seed because I've heard that sometimes very few of these are good as cut flowers because they're Their vase life is only a couple days. Dahlias already have a shorter vase life than I'd like. When I picked all of my flowers for the flower farm, I wanted stuff that had at least 1 week for vase life. Because I want flowers that people can buy and bring home and have for more than a day or two. Where dahlias are more like a 5 day thing. And then I've heard that sometimes these seed dahlias, they're beautiful as bedding plants, but they might only have like a 3 day vase life. And there's like, I don't think very many people want to buy something that they bring home and it dies right away. So I'll be able to do, like, if I want to do like crazy pictures, I'll be able to like make like dahlia art where I just pick, like, do one of those pictures where like people like cover a dress with like dahlias and it's like, oh look, I'm wearing flowers. Do something like that. Yeah, so the thing that I've heard people say is, because when you buy a tuber, it's like a clone of the specific plant, but a seed is, you don't really know what it is, because you don't know who the mummy plant and who the daddy plant was. So you don't know what your baby plants are going to look like with your seed dahlias. And so most of the dahlias that are tubers are doubles, and because they have so many petals, as they open up and die back, it just gives you a lot more days. Whereas the open-faced dahlias, where you can like kind of see the pollen center, the singles, those, the leaves just fall off right away rather than having them open and open and open. Yeah, so that's what people have said about the dahlias. But they said about 20% of the dahlias that you grow from seed will be good cutting dahlias. That's like low for me, because like my space is so specific. But they also said, like, whatever is a good cutting one, you can save the tuber for growing out in future years and make clones off of it. I kill dahlia tubers, so I don't know. Well, like, I'll probably grow them because I have the seeds, but I'm trying to say, like, my goal every year is to keep myself contained and controlled. That's why I was saying why I love Geo Seeds. The fact that their catalog is like, has no, like, nothing tempting about it. Like, I do my best to keep myself from going so overboard and so crazy, because I know even just like my basic plans are already like out there. It's like, oh, I'm not gonna grow everything in the entire world. I'm only gonna grow like 20% of everything. And I'm like, feel reasonable because I'm a crazy person, but it obviously isn't reasonable. But I do my best, guys. I do my best. I gotta keep myself there's only so many hours in the day. Even with moon gardening, there's only so many hours for gardening. Okay, so here we go. I got zinnias. No. Apparently, I usually pre-sort so I can talk about this. Canada, for growing zones in Canada. So first of all, when I say I'm zone 5, I am not talking about Canadian zones. Canadian zones are different from American zones. I'm actually zone 6 in Canadian zones, but I know most of you guys are American or use the American zone, and it makes me feel bad about myself if I tell you guys that I'm zone 6, and then you're like, oh, you're zone 6. Well, like, my tomatoes are ready and I'm zone 6. And I'm like, no, it's because I'm actually a zone 5. So I say zone 5 because it makes me feel better. But yeah, like, Canada has some cold spots. We got like some zone 1, which would be a bummer to grow in. And then, along the coast, we have like some temperate spots. Like Vancouver Island is near me, and it's super temperate. Okay. What I'm doing here right now is Yeah, the pollinators would like the seed zinnias because, or seed dahlias, because they're more open-faced, so they can actually get to the pollen. Which is why I think that the percentage of um, of seeds that end up getting made are so are so likely to be the singles is because they've all been pollinated by the ones that are singles, because those are the ones that the bees can get into. Yeah, it's a lot of work for taking cuttings off the tubers. Also the tubers that I'm buying are they've been split, and usually they get split so there's like a couple eyes. Um, but they're not going to be like a homegrown tuber where it could be like, 20, 30 eyes that are growing out of like a tuber clump. They usually split so there's only about 3 eyes, and like that would be a lot of work, and I'm not very good at taking care of fussy baby plants. So I'd be worried that I'd accidentally kill my cuttings off of a tuber. But much safer for me to just grow the tubers. I got a really good deal on the tubers too, because I bought wholesale. So even if I kill all my tubers after growing them, I should be able to sell enough dahlias to cover the cost of buying them. Fingers crossed. I want to learn how to store dahlia tubers over winter, because like that would be awesome. I'd be able to have like huge amounts of dahlias every year. But I'm not crying about the ones that I've killed currently in my garage from last year. Um, I have 240 coming. I don't need to cry. Spilt milk. Okay. Zinnias. Okay, so one of my favorite zinnias. Okay, sorry, just to finish. Where I am, it's so cold. If I don't dig up dahlia tubers, they just go to mush. So you have to dig them up, and then you have to store them indoors in like a cool place. My problem here is it's so dry that the tubers start to dry out. Like other places have issues of them like molding and going to mush because it's too wet. I have issues of them drying out, so then I have to try to keep them sealed. But then because they're sealed, they don't have very good airflow, so then they go moldy. So I have both dried out and moldy tubers. um, but so I need a system. I need a better system. But I don't have one yet. And it also has to be a system that doesn't involve me, you know, putting them into like oh, I gotta just put them into sawdust and stuff like that, because I have so many that like I might as well, for the amount of money that sawdust would cost to like split and store them, I might as well just buy new tubers for the cost of like putting a system like that into place. Yeah, I don't know. When I figure it out, one of these years, I'll figure it out and I'll make a video and I'll show you guys exactly how to do it. But till then, I have no advice on how to. All I know is how to not do it. And that's one thing I always say. Uh, every mistake is something that you learn, right? So this winter, if I like lose every single one of my tubers, I've learned yet again a way that I can't store my tubers. So that's knowledge. Like knowledge costs money. So I wasted a little bit of money on dahlia tubers, but I learned something. If I do the exact same thing that I did this winter, next winter, then I'm an idiot because I didn't actually learn anything. But it doesn't matter if I make mistakes and stuff dies as long as I learn from it. That's what gardening's all about. Every year you learn more, you do better, you build on that knowledge, and eventually know what you're doing one of these days. Like when like 50 years from now. Okay. Zinnias. Back to seeds. I love okay. Zinnias were amazing. I love zinnias. Um so one of my favorite zinnias last year is the Lime Queen series. And there's like 4 or 5 varieties that are part of the Lime Queen series, and I ordered them all. But I need to look into this, actually. It's a good thing I'm talking to you guys about this, because this is reminding me. I got the Queen Lime Zinnia from Geo Seeds, but I ordered all of the colors from them, and they didn't show up. So I don't know if they were sold out or if they were back ordered and I have them coming still. But I need to find out, because if not, I need to order them from another place. I know William Dam has them. But yeah, the Lime Queen Zinnias like were super cool. I loved them. And like the Lime Queen Orange had like a 3-week vase life. It was crazy. Like I was like, why are these still alive? I'd bring in like a new bouquet of flowers and like pick out the orange lime queens and add them into the new bouquet, and it was like, how long have I had these? Like, what's going on? So those were like super high on my list of stuff that I wanted to have again. And I grew them really badly last year. I had so zinnias are apparently susceptible to downy mildew, or black mildew, and I was having, like, I didn't know what was going on, but a bunch of you guys let me know that part of the reason why they were suffering is that they had the downy mildew, and they kept growing and they kept flowering. They just weren't doing as well as they should have been. And yeah, and they had it a bit worse. I don't know if it was the location that they were in or not. But yeah, so I'm hoping to do better with that this year. And then because they didn't produce quite as much as the Bennery's Giant, which is the other variety that I bought here. But they can. They're supposed to be really, really prolific. Okay, so that I only have the one. I only have the Queen Lime for the Lime Queen. But the other zinnias that I bought, which is like what I was talking about earlier, about buying them in specific colors instead of a mix. Ian and I had a big argument about what specific colors to buy, and he was like, "Oh, you gotta buy more. You gotta buy these different ones." So we bought more than we should have. But yeah, so I tried to be more narrowed in. So Bennery's Giant, I mean, these have a crazy name. Bennery's Giant Dahlia Blue Point. So I don't know. Apparently the blue point is like the specific source. Apparently these Bennery's Giant has been around for a while, so depending on where your source is, the seed is stronger. Okay. Sorry. Okay, so Bennery's Giant, I bought wine, I bought salmon rose, I bought orange, lime, lilac, and then bright pink. And I think that Ian wanted me to buy the bright pink. So I'm not necessarily going to grow that one. He was saying, "Oh, you need pink. People want pink." Yeah, thanks, guys. But my plan, so the wine is a deep, rich, reddy, purple color. It's like a deep burgundy. It's really dramatic. And then the salmon rose is like a coral coloring. I found that in the Bennery's Giant, they have a coral. I think there's about like 12 or 13 different colors. But yeah, so they had a coral, but the coral was I liked the salmon rose better than I liked their coral. I found that the salmon rose was a little bit more dramatic and then also distinct away from the wine. And then I got orange. Oh, or you know what? You know what I think it was? I think that the coral was too orange and the salmon rose was like more of like a pinky coral type color. Because I wanted it to be distinct against the orange. And then lime is like a bright green color and it's super cool. I had this in my mix and there was only like one or two of them and I really liked it. So I'm excited to have its own. And then lilac. And lilac is like a, like a lilac, like a light purple color. But yeah, so I'm really excited about this mix. I think all together this is going to be a really cool mix. And then I think the individual colors I'm going to have a lot of use for. And then, okay, so also I have leftover mixed color dahlias. And I am going to do a section that is like a mixed color also. And that way I can pick those and I can just sell them as mixed colors separately. Whereas these will be the ones that I use more for bouquets. But yeah, so I bought mostly like bright, punchy colors for the flower farm, and that's because selling at the farmer's market, people really like those really bright, punchy colors. They like that a lot more than, like, I thought like whites would do really well. I thought like an all white bouquet would be something that people would want, but people wanted more of those bright, punchy colors at the farmer's market. But I know for other flower farmers, people do any sort of like wedding work. They do a lot of these like, like muted pinks, like really pale pinks and whites and like beiges. They do, and ivories and creams and all those kind of coloring. The brights, the bright colors that do really well for me at the farmer's market aren't necessarily what other people grow who do like the flower farming, because depending on who your customer is, it's, different stuff will sell. And it's, it's funny because I really thought that I knew that I'd want brights for the farmer's market, but I thought that some people would want the white and more muted stuff. But they, Ian and I argued about it a bunch. He was like, stop making those white bouquets. And I don't say this very often, but I think Ian was right. And yeah, I think there is still a place for white bouquets. Like personally, like my favorite are like a white, like I like white flowers. I think they look great because my favorite color is green. White looks great with green. But yeah, at the farmer's market, those really bright colors, they're definitely they stand out. And it might be just that the pop of color stands out at the farmer's market. Maybe if people were more thinking about having it in their home, they'd still like the green and white. It's just, our whole goal in selling the flowers is that they're an impulse buy. We sell our bouquets for $10. Oh, Ian. Oh no, Ian's here. He heard me say that he's right. No. Yeah, what was it? Oh yeah, okay. So for our flower farm, we sell our bouquets for $10. And that's part of the reason why I want to grow really easy to grow things, because I want to be able to sell them for $10. The dahlias are something that's a little bit difficult to sell for $10. And so I don't quite know what we're gonna do with the dahlias yet, because I don't necessarily want to be giving them away. Price wise, I might, if we have like a million dahlias, I might need to look for a different place to sell the dahlias rather than the farmer's market. But we figure $10 is the price point. No wedding flowers. I don't do weddings. no weddings. Too much, no, too much work to have to deal with people for weddings. I'd sell flowers to people who are gonna then sell them for weddings, but me, I don't want to deal with weddings. Yeah. What was I saying? Yeah, $10. We want the flowers to be an impulse buy. And I feel like at $10, like $20 is you have to think about it. $10 for this like beautiful, bright, punchy bouquet that you see at the farmer's market. You just bought $10 worth of veggies with me. You got like a bunch of you got a bunch of veggies for the week, and then you're like, oh, like I paid with a 20, and I'm like, oh, here's your $10 bill back, and they're like, oh, you know what, just keep it. I'm taking a bunch of flowers with me, and so I think that maybe those really, really bright color bouquets, like paired with the $10 impulse buy, they're impulse colors. Yeah, I used to work at a shoe store, and the like just there's a reason why things are more expensive for weddings. It's people are very, very, very hard to deal with around weddings. They overthink every single decision, and you gotta charge for that time that they're gonna ask. Well, can you tell me exactly what shade of beige your beige is? Yeah, so I just don't have time for it. I think it makes sense if you're being a flower farm that is selling for weddings, and that's what you do. That makes sense because then you have like systems set up for it. But unfortunately, the people who contact me about weddings are the people who know that I sell $10 bouquets, and they're like, "Oh, can I buy a $10 bouquet for my wedding?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure, you can come pick out of the ones that I have at the farmers market." But no, we're not going to spend 3 hours email communicating for your $10 for your $10 bouquet you want. You don't you get to pick out of what I have for $10. we you know what, we did sell a couple like just mixed buckets to people for weddings, but it was people that we already like had a relationship with. It was people that I knew weren't gonna get, yeah, $15 for bouquets with dahlias in them. Yeah, that seems fair. I thought I saw bucket. I'm like, oh, $15 for a bucket of dahlias. Yeah. Yeah, so if you're in Kelowna and you want a bucket of random flowers and you don't want to tell me what color it is for your wedding, I can maybe do that for you. It's not that I hate people getting married. I just don't have the only internet time I have is for you guys. You get all my internet time. I don't have internet time for doing that side of my business. Okay, back to seeds. Okay, here we go. This is one that I had to Google because I wanted to buy Snapdragons. And I'm not even going to bother, guys. You can just read that there. That is Snapdragon in Latin. That's what I had to Google. Okay, let's try. Antirrhinum, something like that. Okay, so I bought Chantilly Snapdragons because these sound like they are one of the most cold hardy Snapdragons. I had no idea Snapdragons were super cold hardy. We got our first frost. Yeah. I'm not gonna say it though. Our first frost when we got it was like crazy hard. It like froze. It like went down to like -3 on our very first frost. Everything died. Like it was like in the like flowers in the morning, like everything dead in the next day. Every single one of my flowers completely dead because flowers are not frost tolerant at all. But then a week later, I was out in my flower farm section and like it looked like the snapdragons were growing again, and I was like, what is going on? And like even with freezing temperatures, they stayed green. They like, they all the flowers and everything died, but the plant was still alive. And this blew my mind because as I said at the beginning of this, I don't know anything about flowers, so I didn't know how cold hardy snapdragons were. But then as I started doing more research, I found out that they're super cold hardy, which had me excited because that means I can maybe get them even earlier in the season. And then it sounds like this Chantilly one is especially cold hardy and it's super beautiful. It's like really roughly and really fancy. So so yeah, so the Chantilly is something that I'm experimenting with this year. Um, I have already started a tray of Chantilly snapdragons. I started it a couple days ago when I planted some hot peppers. And I am gonna try planting them out April 1st, which is still like cold. Like May 1st is kind of, in the range of when our last frost is. But yeah, so I'm gonna plant them out uncovered and I'm gonna see. I'm gonna see what they do. But I'm probably this is a pretty good pack. This is 500 seeds in it, so I'll probably do a couple trays, and I'll do one under like a piece of plastic so that they're a little bit protected from frost. But yeah, I want to see if I can get. And apparently, you can do something called winter sowing, which is when you plant these like basically I could overwinter snapdragons. So I could plant them out, I'd start them in August, plant them into the garden in September. They kind of like root in, go dormant, and then they take off as soon as it gets a bit warmer. But if I could get flowers for Mother's Day, then that would be amazing. That's my goal. Without having to have a heated greenhouse, I would really like to get some sort of flower able to be grown that is an annual and not a perennial. So I'm thinking maybe the snapdragons, maybe that's it. So Chantilly, I bought this to experiment for cold and because they're pretty, so I want to see. When is Mother's Day? It's like early May. It's I think, I don't know. Early May. All I know is that I want to get into our big farmers market. The Kelowna Farmers Market they do farmers markets on Saturdays and Wednesdays. We were able to do Wednesday markets with them at the end of the season last year. And thank you. May 10th. So Saturdays are like really busy compared to the Wednesdays. May is still pretty early for not everyone has anything to sell in May. So there is a chance that if I have stuff to sell in May, the Kelowna Farmers Market could let me in on a Saturday, and on the Saturday before the Sunday of Mother's Day will be a farmer's market, and I'm fingers crossed maybe they'll let me into that market and I can bring down all my potted up dinner plate dahlias. Hopefully I'll have some lettuce. I'll have some basic early vegetables, and then if I had flowers to be able to sell for Mother's Day, that would be pretty amazing. And then I'll probably on Mother's Day itself, I might set up a stand on the road in front of my house selling like potted plants for Mother's Day type thing, because we get a lot of people driving by on our road. We did a few like just setting up like our market display in front of our house a few times last summer, and when we did it, we sold a lot of flowers. We sold more flowers than we sold vegetables. People would drive by, see the flowers, pull over, pick up a bouquet as a gift or, for bringing home. We also have like tourist traffic because we have a bunch of wineries in our area. So yeah, if I could be out there Mother's Day morning with like bouquets, I could probably sell whatever I could pick. So yeah, that would be amazing. Okay. Yeah, little lion's mouths. I love I think snapdragons are cool. Yeah, we're gonna build an actual farm stand. As soon as Ian gets home from work, we have a bunch of infrastructure that we need to build this year. Um, yeah, and we're hoping our farm stand we're gonna set up, and it's gonna be on the honor system where people just stop and they leave money, or maybe they'll e-transfer us. I'm hoping that, you know, like if we're like just email us the money, maybe, you know, everyone has a cell phone in their pocket. Maybe people would be happy to do that, and then we don't have to worry about cash or anything. You know, worst case scenario, someone steals veggies from us, but you know, honestly, at the end of every day, we'd be going and dumping them. Oh, like whatever's left on the stand would be getting dumped to the neighbor's chickens. So if it gets stolen, you know, hopefully the people are eating it. So it's hard to feel bad when someone's like stealing food. It's like, well, if you need it that badly, like if you need that $5 worth of carrots that badly, then you know I can't begrudge you taking it. You know, the cash is a bit different. Okay, back to snapdragons. I also apparently even despite the, you know, the untempting catalog, I did fall for something else because I don't specifically remember buying this. Bad me. I bought Potomac Mix. This is so the snapdragons that we grew last year were Rocket, and I still have leftover seeds. I have like the Rocket mix. But yeah, so this Potomac, I think maybe these are like bigger and more showy. I can't remember. There must be a reason. There must be a reason I bought this. I'll grow it for sure. I'm wanting to do half a bed of snapdragons. I already have the flower farm mapped for what I'm gonna do. So I'm gonna grow 200 snapdragon plants. And then there's also, it probably isn't a bad idea for me to do a succession, knowing how cold hardy the snapdragons are. The snapdragons would probably be a good thing for me to plant in the heat of summer to then have for fall flowers too. You know, and I could even potentially put them into one of my greenhouses. You know, I could maybe be pulling out something and putting the snapdragons in, and then I'd be able to get them past those first frosts. You know, what I do, like I have no plans for what the end, like I only have plans for the beginning of my growing season, and then I'll just kind of play things by ear. We're still learning our market, and we're still learning what does well. But you know, our plan is like follow the money. If there's something that's selling really well, I'll grow more of it. You know, and last year we did find there's a reason why I'm like going with all these flowers and stuff. It's not just you guys like being bad influences on me and making me get all obsessed with flowers. They did sell really well. It like I'm able to see the ability to make profit on flowers. You know, and they have a lot of value for us at our farm stand too, just because they're beautiful, right? Like you guys all like them because they're beautiful. Same when we go down and we have these beautiful veggies and these beautiful flowers. It's just, you know, it's double beautiful. Okay, finish about these snapdragons. So I have the one that I grew last year, super happy with it. It did well in the heat. Which, you know, things that do well in cool and in heat are hard to find. So they definitely make my like best ever list. But yeah, so Rocket. Rocket is the variety of snapdragons that I grew last year. I still have a pack, but there was one color in the Rocket that like I I only had like one or two of them, and I was like, oh, they're so beautiful. They're like, I didn't want to sell them because I like them so much. And just super unique. They were like peachy colors, like yellows and oranges, and they kind of faded and were like variegated. Just really, really cool. So I did research and I found out that the specific color for that is bronze. Um, and then yet again, the reason why Geo Seeds, I love you, thank you. You can, they have the mixes, right? So here's like Potomac. Potomac I bought as a mix, so this has all the colors. But Geo Seeds, anything that they sell, they also sell as the individual colors, and that can be hard to find sometimes for the flowers, which is one of the biggest reasons why I was excited to be buying from them. So yeah, so I got the rocket in bronze specifically. And this has 500 seeds in it, so there's no world that I need 500 of that one specific color. But I wanted to have a chunk of this. Like I knew I only had a couple last year and I really liked it, so I wanted more. So hopefully I'll baby these seeds and not wreck them, and then I can be able to grow like a tray of these bronze rockets every year for the next couple years. It's really nice for the flower farm to be able to grow the individual colors. It's not necessarily something that I think has a lot of value for the home garden, where it's nice to have a whole mix of stuff. But yeah, it's definitely nice to be, because if I only have like one or two of the bronze rocket, if I want to have that consistently mixed with something else, like I'll just run out of flowers for it. But I know that if I plant 25 of these bronze rockets, then every week I'll be able to get one stem off the plant, so I have at least 25 of them. So I can make plans around it. Okay, so another thing that I love the look of, and I failed at growing it last year. So last year on my flower farm, I had a bed of zinnias, I had a bed of cosmos, I had a bed of filler where half of it was my basils, and then the other half was other mixes of stuff. And I did good with the basil, but the other half, it turned into a mess. It was all failure. Then I had half a bed of amaranth, and it did good. Like I got it. But then the other half of that bed was supposed to be celosia, and I did it direct from seed. I did the amaranth direct from seed too, but I did it direct from seed, and I've never grown celosia before, so I didn't. It was a little bit delayed, and then I didn't know what it looked like. And the whole section was a big weedy mess. My whole flower farm was a big weedy mess, and I didn't get it weeded in time, and so then I didn't know what was celosia and what was weeds. And then by the time I figured out what was celosia, the weeds had like made it suffer so much that they didn't do anything. I only had there was about 5 plants that survived, that grew into anything, and it took until like September, but by the time they were super cool. They're kind of okay. I'm gonna compare them to amaranth, and they're nothing like amaranth, but they're kind of like amaranth because they're like these big structural weird things. So you can get them like where they're shaped like as a fan, or you can get them shaped like as like a plume, like a feathery plume thing. But they come in like the amaranth is limited in the colors, whereas the celosia has like these crazy rainbow colors. And they dry, so you can use them as a dried flower, and they have like crazy long shelf life. And they also, you can leave them in the field for a while. Like you don't have to, with other flowers, you have to pick them right away. Yeah, okay, so just because I see asking about direct sowing, honestly, all of these things that I've bought, if I wanted, I could direct sow. There's nothing here, other than maybe like the dahlias. like just because they grow a little bit slower in the beginning. And like they're a little bit longer, so you maybe want to pre-start them. But all these flower seeds you could grow direct from seed. It's just kind of like what I'm saying about the Celosia. I grew it direct from seed. I didn't weed it. The weeds outcompeted it, and the plants never did anything. So yeah, you can totally plant all of this stuff. Like zone 5, yep, sure. Like even Canadian zone 5, like you'll be fine. Um, you know, the one so if you're trying to decide if you can grow it direct from seed and you are in a colder area, this is like I'm going off topic here, but I'm going off topic because this is important. Um, so if you're in a colder area or any area, I suppose, what you want to do is you want to know how many growing days you have. This is how to plan. We're going away from flowers for a minute. I'm going to talk to you about how to plan a garden for growing direct from seed, because I love growing direct from seed because it's so easy, and it's very affordable. Whereas like I find growing seedlings is almost too expensive for it to be worth it for me personally, because I'm cheap. So what you need to do is you need to know how long your growing season is. So to figure out how long your growing season is, you need to find out your last frost date. So like for me, I've been saying beginning of May is like my last frost date. And then you have to find out your first frost date. So, for me, that's usually like mid-October. Last year it was like beginning of October. And then you find out how many days are in between those dates, and that is your growing season. And then and then you find like I cleaned up all my seeds. They're not here, so I can't. But yeah, so you pick whatever it is that you want to grow, and they always have a DTM, a day to maturity. Flowers, they will have a DTM, and quite often their DTM is their date to flowering. It's like how many days it'll take before it'll start flowering. For me with flowers, it was a little bit I had a hard time finding the information when I first started researching, because this was like when I started planning my flower farm last year. This was the type of early research that I did before I picked the varieties. So if you're interested in growing flowers specifically from seed, and you don't have specific things in mind, or like knowledge already about the specific flowers, the source that I really liked, that I went to again and again when I was planning my flower farm, is Geo Seeds. They have a really good selection of flowers, and they also have really good, easy to find information of like days to flower, like the DTM. So John, like, and for vegetables too, Geo Seeds is a really good resource, because under every single variety they have, like, you have to open it up. It's like, it's closed, and then you arrow down for more information, but they have really, really good, easy to find, easy to go through information on there. So Geo Seeds their website is a really good resource. Their catalog has info, but their website is like a really, really good source. Okay, so you do the math between last frost date and first frost date. You find out you have 120 days of a growing season. And then let's say you look up Celosia, and you find out that Celosia is going to be, I have no idea. I'm going to make up numbers. So Celosia is 80 days until it's going to flower. So we have 120-day season. Celosia is something that as soon as it starts flowering, it's like a cut and come again. It'll keep going. So if on your last frost date, you put the seeds in the ground, 80 days from then is when it's going to start flowering. And then that basically means you're going to have 40 days of Celosia flowers, let's say. That means that, it will work. But let's say the Dahlia seeds, you only have a 120-day season. But the Dahlia seeds, it says it's going to be 120 days until they flower. You don't necessarily want to put Dahlia seeds into the ground, because, yes, sure, it's, you know, it's going to take all the days it'll flower. But with flowers specifically, you know, what's the point of growing it for a flower before the frost comes and kills it? It's a little bit different. Like, let's say it was a vegetable, you know, and it was going to, you're going to be able to get your harvest off of it at 120 days. Then in that case, you're good to go. But yeah, with the flowers, you want to enjoy the flowers for a bit. But yeah, so that's basically, that's how you know if you can plant it direct from seed. So, you know, if you have enough days in your season, then you have enough days to grow it direct from seed. For me, for example, tomatoes and peppers, like, you know, I have a longer season than a lot of people, but you know, they take so long before they fruit. So because of that, I'm gonna start them, you know, like tomatoes I do 8 weeks. 8 weeks before I plant them out. 6 to 8 weeks. You know, and then after I plant them, then they're like another 6 weeks until they start producing fruit. You know, if I put it seed in ground, I still had to do that, like, you know, 6 to 8 weeks, and then the 6 to 8 weeks till fruit. You know, you just run out of days. But yeah, so hopefully that helps some of you guys to know if you can direct seed, and also you know, why maybe I'm not doing it direct seed. The reason why I'm not doing direct seed for a bunch of this stuff is that I want the flowers as early as possible, because a lot of what I'm buying is stuff that I can keep picking from, like the Zinnias, the Cosmos, the Gomphrena, the Celosia. Most of this stuff is like cut and come again type flowers. So it means the earlier it starts producing flowers for me, the more total flowers I can get. And then, but also a lot of flower farmers, maybe they'll do their first planting of Zinnias from seedlings, but then the next planting they do from seed, and then they have like a succession, because the amount of flowers that gets produced usually is a little bit of a bell curve. It'll like kind of, you know, it has its first flower, and then it has a few flowers, and then oh my god, it has this big explosion of flowers, and then it kind of like tapers off for the number of flowers that you get. Like a lot of flowers are like that. So a lot of flower farmers grow it for picking just in the peak, and then as it starts to kind of slow down in its production, they rip it out. They have another peak that's started, just because labor of picking is a consideration for the farming that isn't necessarily a consideration for the home gardening. Okay, does that make sense? Let's go back to Celosia. Okay, so Celosia is super cool. I'm really excited to do better at growing this. I might do it as seedlings just because I had so many issues with spotting it. I want it to work this year, so I might baby it a little bit. But yeah, I'm really excited to try these. So I bought Flamingo Feather. This is like a plume style Celosia, and it's like a purpley color, and it looks really cool. And I think that most of these ones that I bought are varieties that like are cut and come again. Some Celosias are like a single, like you plant them really tight together, you cut off the stem, they're done. Whereas other ones, like you give them a bit more space and they're branching instead of just one single stem. Yeah, so I'm pretty sure most of them that I bought I tried to buy branching, but I also might have failed at my research. But I'm going to grow them like they're all branching and cross my fingers. Yeah, so Flamingo Feather. This one I'm super excited about. It's it's a pampas plume, and so this is, you know, if you know what pampas grass looks like, it has like a flower head similar to a pampas grass. I think that this one might not be branching. I think this might be one that you grow tight together. I'll have to do some research on this one before I plant it. Oh, I bought 2 packs. I don't think these have 1,000 seeds in it, so I don't know why I was being so keen and bought 2,000, but I'll take it. Yeah, these are cool. They have like really cool colors. So, you know, like they have like yellows and purples and like bright pinks, like, you know, like just like these really, really vivid colors. Yeah. Oh, apparently I only have 2. Maybe that's why. Maybe I thought I ordered something different. I think I have a couple leftover Celosia packs from last year that are these like fan styles. So instead of like being this like poo like all open, they're like this. And they're like colored and they're like flat, or they like fan open. They almost look like corals. They're really cool. Everything that I'm going through here is tall. Like most of the stuff is going to be like 4 feet tall, you know, like 3 to 4 feet tall. One of the things that so growing them as like flower farm flowers, you grow them all really tight together. So when I say that I'm going to give the Celosia space so that it can be a branching instead of a single stem, when I mean space, I mean I'm gonna space them like 8 inches apart or 12 inches apart. That's generous spacing. Whereas my zinnias, they're 6 inches apart. The zinnias are, so like my bed is, how wide is my bed? I think it's 36 inches is my growing space by 50. I have 5 zinnias across on that 36 inches. So they're spaced every 6 inches, and then every single plant is spaced by 6 inches. So they're like, you know, like they're like this close together, right? Like here's a zinnia, here's a zinnia, and like they grow big. And so one of the things about doing that for a bunch of these flowers is that them being grown so close together makes them get leggy. So that means like they grow longer stems. You know, you crowding the flowers makes them leggy, which is something you want in a cut flower, because then you have more stem space, like more stem length for cutting. So that's one of those tricks for flowers. You don't necessarily want your veggies leggy. But even like with the farming that I do, the spacing that I have on the veggies is very, very tight. Like, so my veggie beds are 30 inches. And so like my lettuce, they're 4 across every 6 inches. They're pretty close to the 6-inch spacing too, I think. Maybe a little bit more. But yeah, they're like, everything is grown really tight, and it's just to maximize space. The tighter I grow everything, the less weeding I have to do, because the idea is when the plants grow, they're like touching each other, rather than having any sort of space. And because they're touching each other, they're crowding out any sort of light from getting down to the soil. So if there's weeds under there, the weeds aren't able to grow. They like, the plants just kind of smother everything. But yeah. Okay. Amaranth. So I love amaranth. I think it's super cool. By the time my amaranth was ready, I was using it in like every single one of my bouquets that I was making. And my bouquets all started to be like everyone was like, wow, these are such unique bouquets. I've never seen a bouquet that looks like this. And I was like, well, I don't know if that's like a compliment. I'm like, I like them and they're selling. So, but they all started to be really vertical, because I'd have these big tall amaranth, and then I'd have like other flowers up around it. So they ended up being these really vertical bouquets, which I liked. I thought they looked I liked them in a vase. I also like that because I don't necessarily have a ton of space for having this big drapey open flower bouquet. So these vertical bouquets were like perfect for like putting on a windowsill or putting in a corner, or you can put it in the middle of your table, have flowers, and it wasn't like taking up the whole table. Um, so I liked it, and they sold, and no one was like, "Stop making them so upright." But yeah, I had so much fun with the amaranth, and there was also a few times that I brought the amaranth to market just as like a bunch because I just picked too much. But yeah, and just plain amaranth sold really well too. For the crowding affecting flower size, it can. Um, the like a perfect example for that is sunflowers. I grew my sunflowers like crazy, crazy close. And like instead of the sunflowers being like these big, huge flowers like they were when they were well spaced, they ended up being like this big, um, which was perfect. Like the stems, like another thing that happens when you crowd them and they get leggy is the stems get really skinny. The stem being skinny is bad if you're worried about your plants falling over, but a skinny stem is actually an advantage for a cut flower because then you don't have this big bulky stem. Amaranth are crazy bad about self-seeding because basically the amaranth flower is just seeds. Like amaranth actually. Oh, sorry. Amaranth is grown as a grain. And like so these big huge seed heads that are like the big showy flowers, the reason why they probably got developed in the first place is to be like a good seed crop for like a grain. um but yeah, so if you don't want amaranth coming back for the rest of your life in your garden, don't grow amaranth. We grew amaranth to try it as a grain once in our old garden, and we had amaranth forevermore. Amaranth is actually also a really common, really aggressive weed, for like most of the world. um, a lot of places eat amaranth, so they don't necessarily consider it a super bad weed because they just eat it. But yeah, I have a wild green amaranth that grows like crazy all over my property. And it was ready earlier than my decorative amaranths that I bought, so I was actually picking it and using it as a cut flower before my other amaranths were ready. But yeah, if you have concerns about it getting out of control, it can. So be careful. Be careful with amaranth. Rip it out before, like, keep it picked, or rip it out very carefully. Okay, so what I bought. So I bought a new one. So last year, the only amaranths that I got were upright amaranths. But there's a lot of amaranths that are weeping, and they have a common name, of love lies bleeding, I think is what they're called. And they're like they make these like tassels that hang down, and they're really cool. I didn't grow them because I didn't know how I'd use them in bouquets because like you cut the stem and then they hang down. Whereas all the bouquets that I was making, I wanted up. I don't want them like hanging down into the water. But yeah, but I really like amaranth, so I bought one to try anyways. I bought Coral Fountain, and so this is exactly like it sounds. It's a coral colored flower that hangs down like a fountain. So I'm excited to try it. It might not be super usable for my market bouquets. You know, this is something that people grow a lot for like wedding bouquets, where like the pieces drape down below the, you know, bouquet. But amaranth, it can be dried, and we're gonna experiment a bit with dried flowers this year. So you know, if I'm not able to use it at all in my market bouquets, I think I can just dry it, and I can dry it so that it doesn't hang down. I can dry it so that it's sticking up, and then, you know, once it's dried, I can turn it up and it stays. So, you know, maybe if I can't use it in the bouquets, I'm sure I'll have something that I can do with it. And then, okay, so one of the ones that I did last year, which I loved, was called Hot Biscuit. And it was like this beigey brown color. And it, like, you see it and you're like, like the leaves are green. And then it's like, you know, like it's like a beigey brown color. It's a weird color to be as excited as I am about it. It's the type of thing that you're, if you see it on its own, you're like kind of like, okay, like cool. But I really like the color. I like it, look like it would, so you don't get like brown flowers, right? So it was, you know, but it actually was like a really nice tone of this like beigey brown color. So like it looked great with oranges and yellows and reds, and you know, the leaves were green, so even, you know, even with like pinks and, you know, like more romantic colors, like it, like I just really liked working with it. I put it in like everything. I was like, oh yeah, these beige ones, I love it. So it was actually one of my favorite flowers to work with. So it sounds weird to be so obsessed with a brown a brown flower, but I really enjoyed it. And then the other one that I grew last year was Velvet Curtains. And this is like a deep, deep, deep burgundy, you know, like red color. And the foliage was a deep, deep dark color on it too. Super, super dark. Like really, really pretty. Um sorry. Yeah, and this was really fun. This was really dramatic, and it dried like the exact same color. So this was really fun to work with too. And then I got one called Autumn's Touch, and like this is gonna be new, and I remember being excited about it, but I can't really remember what it looked like. I think that it was like greens and browns. I think it was kind of variegated. I think maybe the foliage was variegated, and then the seed heads that it did, you know, like it started out green and then it's matured to brown, but then you could have it pick it at points when it had green and brown, so it was kind of like a mix. But yeah, this is another one of those vertical ones, so I'm excited to try that too. Okay, and then I'm almost done. And then I bought Cosmos, and I bought a mix. I said I wasn't going to, but I did. Well, whatever. All right, so I bought Double Click, and I got it in the mix color. The mix is a white, a pink, and then like a dark burgundy pink. And the Double Click. Oh, these are Cosmos. I don't know if I said that. The Double Click series are like big, fluffy, frilly doubles. One of the issues that I had with working with the Cosmos was it was really easy for them to get ragged looking. I had some singles last year, and you know, on a single, if like one or two of the petals dropped, it like, you know, it looked like it had been bashed up like quite badly. And so one of our biggest challenges with selling flowers at the farmers market is we have to bring them down to the farmers market. And so we were really limited for space. So we were using Ian's truck. The flowers have to be inside. any sort of wind would they'd just be garbage by the time we get them to the farmer's market. So they had to be in Ian's truck, but we wanted to bring a lot of flowers, but we were very limited for space. So they kind of would get all crammed together into the truck, and then they'd bounce around and maybe fall over, or the wind would pick up and maybe they'd fall and but yeah. So it didn't take much for us to damage them. So I found last year that the Cosmos were the most susceptible to looking like I'd bashed them to death after they'd traveled all the way down to the farmer's market, which then didn't make them look very valuable. Because there was all these singles and then the petals would drop. But I found that the double ones looked a lot better, because then if one or two petals dropped from me smashing them, then they just look better. So no single Cosmos this year, only the doubles. And so double click mix, and I am doing double click in Snow Puff, which is the all white, because I found that this worked good as a filler. And then I also bought the mix, and I brought bouquets of just Cosmos a few times to the market, and they sold on occasion. But yeah, they're easy to grow, and I like the look of them. They're hard. They get so big. Like last year, they were they just grew so big. So it was hard to keep on top of them for picking. And then they have a lot of foliage, so it was hard to split them up to make a bouquet with them. But I think maybe growing less and growing only these doubles will be the trick. And then I saw someone asking about echinacea. I only have one thing left. So everything that I've talked about so far are annuals. That means that I plant them from seed, they grow, and then they die. Next year, I plant them from seed again. None of them are things that that come back year after year. And that makes it really simple. Perennials are really, really good for cut flowers, because they come back bigger every year. You don't have to plant them every year. You can also get stuff earlier with the perennials. Pretty much everything, think of bulbs, right? First things that flower, and they're super early. They're only able to do that because they're flowering with the energy that they stored from the year before. So that is kind of the advantage of perennials for flowers. The annuals, super simple, super easy. Also, when it comes to weeds, with a perennial, you have to keep it weeded year after year after year. So if you have issues with weeds, which I do, because we're just getting the farm started, and just weeds everywhere. So there can be some issues with the perennials for that. We are gonna start putting some perennials in this year. We are going to, I bought a bunch of liatris, so that's a perennial. I see salvia. I like salvia, but I'm really going for stuff that's easy, and the salvias that grow easily here aren't the ones that have the nice big flowers. So I don't know. I don't know about salvias. I like echinacea. Echinacea is great for our climate, where hot and dry. Oh, I love hellebores. I have hellebores because I have a few. I have a shade garden, and they make nice cut flowers too. But yeah, so I have some liatris that I'm planting this year for years to come, and I'll get some this year. They're very easy for me, very simple, very prolific, and really affordable. The liatris, I'm buying them bulk, and I think the chromes were I think they're 10 cents each. They were super cheap. I'm also getting some lilies this year. That's like a bulb that I can plant. They'll come back year after year. And I'm probably spring bulbs you plant in the fall. Oh, and I also have sunflowers. That I have sunflowers left over from last year. Like I do have a few more flowers than just what I bought here because I do have stuff left over. Um, but this is the main bulk of what's going to be in the flower farm. But but yeah, so I'm starting to think about perennials for the future. Um but I'm probably gonna try to be pretty specific. Like I see you guys like mentioning peonies. I like peonies. I like that they're early. Probably something that I could get for Mother's Day. Um, but they also need some work. Okay, so the liatris and the lilies, and then and it also the uh brain farting, the dahlia tubers. I'm doing a big bulk like wholesale order from Van Noort is the company that I'm getting these from. Um I can do wholesale with them because I'm a farm. They don't sell like retail in wholesale volumes, but Van Noort does sell wholesale to retailers like in Canada. So I'm buying specifically from Van Noort because I bought their stuff retail before, and they have nice stuff, like they have nice bulbs and everything. So I'm excited to be getting from them specifically. Um, but yeah, so I am thinking perennials. It's a lot of work to set up the perennials. That's why I've been mostly sticking with the annuals. And also, we're like this summer we're going to be going into our second year on our property. Like I think so. July is our anniversary. So July will be our second anniversary for being where we are. It's still pretty early for being in a new place, a new property, and our first goals were to set up the vegetable farm. The first goal was to get the vegetable farm going. Where our vegetable farm is right now isn't where I want the vegetable farm to be long term, which like seems crazy. Like I'm putting in all this work, but like that's not where it is. Like we're hoping to start prepping this other area, which is where we want our vegetable farm to be in the future. The area where I'm growing everything right now is actually the plan for that is, to have like these the high tunnel hoops. Ideally, I'd like to have like 4 or 5 of them set up where the vegetable farm is. So all this work that we're putting into like prepping the soil, getting the weeds out is work that we will continue to use, but it like we have a few really big jobs that we want to, we're working in 5-year plans. And the first 5-year plan, which, will be going into like year 2, 3 of, this coming season, is still just building infrastructure. We want to build up our wash station. We need a walk-in cooler. We're going to be building this farm stand, and then my next big job is like year 3. So not even this year, but next year is we need to do a complete overhaul of our irrigation system on our property. We need to it's going to be this huge, horrible, horribly huge, annoying, very expensive job to like get the pipes set up for an irrigation system that we can then build off of into the future. And then, so that'll be year 3. And then hopefully by year 4, we can be starting into, growing in the space that I want to be the permanent space. Year 5, things will be getting settled. But because of that, I'm trying not to do too many perennials because I don't want to get it into place and then feel constrained from moving stuff. I don't want to put in all this effort to start establishing perennials. You know, peonies are a perfect example. They need about 3 years before they really start producing. So I don't want to plant, you know, a couple rows of peonies and then decide once we start shuffling everything around into more permanent homes that, oh, you know, like this was going to be the year that the peonies were going to start to produce a lot of flowers, but we really should move them because where they are right now doesn't actually make sense for the whole layout of everything. So yeah, so because of that, I've been trying not to get too into perennials. Um, which then brings up this last thing. This is a perennial. I bought a pack of Yarrow, and the color on it is summer berries. And so this is like really pretty. This is really pretty, like pinks and purples and pastel, like bright, I guess not pastel, brights. They're like bright colors. And tall, so you can use it as a cut flower. So this yarrow is a perennial. I'm hoping to start these. I have a bed that I planted a few yarrow in last year. And so I'm hoping to start these and fill in the rest of that yarrow bed. And then I want to have a 50-foot bed of yarrow, which is perennial that I'll, you know, will be ready year after year. But as things, as investments go, you know, the yarrow, it, you know, if I start these yarrow this spring, I'll get a pick off of it. You know, I could honestly grow the yarrow just as a as an annual and not feel bad if I lost it. You know, if I was like, oh, like I can't keep up with it, you know, it just gets ignored and it gets overtaken by weeds. If that was to happen, I'd be fine with that. And that's also why a bit more of my focus for the perennials is stuff like the liatris, which, you know, this liatris that I'm planting, you know, 10 cents a tuber, and I'll get a flower stem off of it. Yeah, I love gold plate. I want some of that. The reason why I didn't buy any of the yellow yarrow is there. So I'm part of the Lake Country Garden Club, and they do a flower sale every year. And like our area is really good for yarrow. Like my lawn actually has like wild white yarrow growing in it that I cut a bunch for flowers last summer. But I think there's a really good chance that I'll be able to buy yarrow plants or like even inherit yarrow plants the big yellow ones from people in my area. So I don't necessarily have to put in I don't have to put in the work. Yeah, I don't know. Ladies mantle? I don't know. I don't like it might be that might be a common name for yarrow. I don't know. It does, you know, it's they're clusters. They come up on a stem and then they're a cluster and the flowers are all like flat. They're really pretty. They're a pretty filler. Oh, there's a good question. Are we making money on the farm? No, we are not. I keep spending it all. Keep buying all these seeds. I'm not selling anything. We like Ian works away in the winters. Ian's gone. Ian's been gone since like Christmas. He was home for like not this weekend, but the weekend before. He was actually home for the weekend. And but yeah, Ian like works out of town in the winters, and that's like how he makes most of his money. And then that's our household money. We, you know, that's what pays the bills, and then I spend all the money. Then I spend all the rest of the money on building this farm with the hope that one of these days, maybe by year 4 or 5, it'll start to make a profit. There's a lot that has to get built before the farm will make a profit. Our goal for this year for gross sales is to do 30,000. I think last year we grossed 14,000 something in there. But yeah, it's like I figure it's gonna take about $100,000 worth of investments before the farm is like ready to then just take a a steady $10,000 investment. So it's definitely gonna be we're building a business. It's like any new business. There's a handful of years where you bust your butt and you make no money for it before you start to be able to make any sort of wage off of it. But it's like we're long term, right? Like we spend the money now, we get the systems in place, and then we can maybe make some profit in the future. But it's farming, right? Like if you want, there's no get rich quick schemes in farming. Like there's a lot of people not making any money in farming. It's not well paying work. Canada's pretty not so much for like farming subsidies. Like I know that like if you're down in the States, there's actually a lot of good small farm subsidies. Where in Canada there isn't really. There's also like if you're in the States, there's lots of really good government resources for farming. Like you'll have like a state agriculture extension. And they're usually connected with like local universities and stuff. So they are really good sources for information. And you can take advantage of them too, even if you're not a farmer. Quite often there is good resources at like your state extensions, state agricultural extensions. If you have any sort of, oh, I don't know, I didn't see. Yeah. So if you guys are down in the States, there actually is lots of really good sources. But I mean, like farming is a business. I don't mind that. I don't mind the idea of it having to like pay for itself. Um, I get jealous of everyone with all their free high tunnels. There's all these like high tunnel grants where they just get like give away greenhouses for free, and like people are like, oh, getting another free high tunnel this year. And I'm like, oh, I want a free high tunnel, but I'll just pay for it. But I mean, it's super fun to be doing the farming stuff, and we like it, and we think that it's important, like and like we think that there's sustainability aspects to it. It's hard to imagine a world where there isn't value in growing food. And Ian can definitely like get pretty pessimistic about things. And he's all like, oh, there's going to be even more value going into the future in growing food. Like I'm not doing it for free. Like I expect it to, cover cost and to, eventually make me, a wage. I'm not it'll be like minimum wage, but that is the goal for what we're building for the farm here. But it doesn't feel bad to know that I'm like contributing to like food security at like for like my local community, and to like see that like food waste after the farmers market, to know that like our farmers market food waste is going down to the food bank. And to know that how our food is being grown well, and our kids get to grow up with all this food and everything. It's we're doing it because it's things that, like, we're living according to, our morals, and so, like, the farming aligns well with it, which makes up for the fact we're never going to make $1 million from it. but and it's fun. I mean, I can say this all day, every day. Like, it's never a bad day when I'm outside, like, pulling up 1,000 pounds of vegetables. Like, we've gotten some really warm weather this week. Sorry, guys. I think it's supposed to be, like, I'm looking outside, it's like sunny. Like, the light's really good because it's like sun shining in. But I think it's supposed to be like 8 Celsius today. It's like nice and warm, and the snow's starting to melt. And I have like all these carrots left over from last year in the ground. So I'm super excited. Like, snow melts, the ground defrosts, and I'm out there pulling up carrots, and like, how amazing. How amazing is that? That's a good thing. That's an amazing thing. CSA for the flowers. I like the idea of CSAs. Ian's nervous about commitments. And we decided, so I like the idea of a CSA because I like the idea of, like, servicing steady local clientele, and also having a way of being able to experiment with stuff. Ian was like, I don't want you to sell something before we have it in hand. He'd rather, basically our goal in building our business is we don't want to let anyone down. That's why, like, we were approached a few times last year by people who wanted to buy, like, restaurants who wanted, who wanted to buy stuff from us. And, we didn't want to start, like, a relationship with someone based on the fact that we had something this week, but we wouldn't have anything for them ever again. We'd rather just be good, steady supply to the farmers market. And so we decided not to do the CSA because we want to do the farm stand idea. And we felt that having this, like, self-serve farm stand that we'll have set up, it'll be stocked every day of the week. It's maybe an even better way to service those customers that we were gonna, who would have been CSA customers. Instead of, like, you get a set thing at a set time, and it's, like, we all have to organize our schedules. If we put the work into this farm stand, anytime anyone local wants to pick something up, it's there. They just stop, they pick it up. There's no commitment on their part, which makes it easier for them. We have a neighborhood that's like a couple kilometers from our house. It's like a big, fairly dense neighborhood. And so yeah, no promises. Well, I mean, I'm making a promise. I'll tell you right now, if you live near me, like, come by the farm stand. I'm gonna work really hard to make sure that there's always stuff in that farm stand, as long as, like, it's not always getting stolen and destroyed. If 3 times a day someone comes and, like, trashes my farm stand, I might give up on the idea. But yeah, I feel like the farm stand is going to be a really good way to service this community that, we would have been basically trying to get with the CSA. Yeah. So if you want flowers from me, I'll have them. Like, I'm thinking, like, June. I said earlier, I'm trying to get the Snapdragons maybe for May, but, I'm thinking I'll probably have flowers June, July, August, September, and I'll put them out in the farm stand. You can just pull over, buy one, or come and see me at the farmer's market. But yeah, I know, there's like 4 of you that are that have, like, contacted me and been like, "Oh, I saw your videos and I live in the area." We won't have you pick, just because like my paths are like this big. Like no one but me can pick. Like, you know, it gets ridiculous in there. Um and like it also, you know, then like to do you pick, I'd have to have lots of spacing, and I'd also have to like it has potential for a lot of damage too, for people not knowing like what they're doing. It's just easier for me to just, you know, have the $10 bouquets. It's like, you want a $10 bouquet, got the $10 bouquet. Or, you know, like I'd probably have it so people could order like, oh, I want to order a pail of flowers, and then, you know, I could do that up. But I'll have to see. If the flowers sell really good, maybe I'll sell out and I won't have all these extra flowers. I'll only have enough for bouquets. So, okay, so from the beginning, I'm going to be starting my Snapdragons like now-ish. And I'm going to be planting them out a month before my last frost, because Snapdragons are actually really cold hardy. So I want to see if I can get them to start. If I can Snapdragons for Mother's Day. That's my goal. That's my big goal for this year, which I'm pretty sure I'm going to fail at, because it's like May 9th or May 10th, something like that you guys were telling me. And then I plant them out April 1st. You know, that's like 5 weeks. That's like, I don't know. That's not very much time for them to flower when you include like short days and like cold weather. But maybe I'd have them for like end of May. Like, no matter what, if they don't die, they'll flower eventually. But okay, any more questions? Or else I'll probably go, because, you know, these are ridiculously long. It's my thing apparently to make stupidly long live videos. Ian's kind of come back soon, and then he'll be here to do live videos, and then he'll be like, "It's been an hour. This is too long. You need to stop." And I'll be like, "But one more point." You guys are basically, you're making up for all the not getting to talk about seeds to Ian. Ian like work slots. So like, yeah, like we only can like talk so much. We talk on the phone every day, but like normally I'm spending 2 hours every single day talking to Ian about seeds, but he's not here. So you guys are getting the brunt of it. I'm getting all my seed talking out by being able to talk to you guys. But like this, like talking about seeds like this is like a daily occurrence. It's just poor Ian. Poor Ian has to pretend to listen to me. Okay. So one other thing. Okay. I don't have the comments, so it's very hard to get answers to this. And I don't, apparently the community tabs were like, you guys can engage with the community tabs. But so this is the last of my like seeds. All my seeds are in. The only order left that I have is the bulb and tuber order that I have, but that's not supposed to come in until like April 1st or something. And I still need to confirm what's going on with that. I have a live. No, I'll still do. I love lives. Lives are my favorite because I actually get to talk to you guys despite my disappeared comments. It's nice to be able to talk with everyone. Next week I'm getting a free LED grow light. I'm super excited. You guys, it's official. Someone sent me free swag. How amazing. I made a post on Instagram being like, someone sent me lights. And then someone did, but apparently in no way connected to me begging for free stuff. But yeah, I'm super excited because this is like a fancy LED grow light, and all my other grow indoor growing equipment is like super ghetto. I have like tube lighting, like old hand-me-down tube lighting, and then when Ian was back, we bought a few T5 LED lights, and all that stuff is great for being able to do the seeds. Like it actually works really well. But I'm really excited to this is like a more fancy one. This is like the type of light that you can like have like an indoor marijuana growing thing with. So which I'm not gonna do. Like we're not making that content, don't worry guys. But it means because you need 2 different light spectrums to be able to grow. Seedlings are easy because you're just like getting the leaves to grow. But if you want to, if you had like a hydroponic tomato plant indoors in the winter, you'd need one of these more fancy style grow lights because you need, I think it's like the red light is what you need, and to be able to get it fruiting. I need to do research. But yeah, so I have one of these nicer lights, and I'm really interested to see if I can see a difference in like how it grows, because I'm a cheap person, so I wasn't going to buy one myself. So yeah, so they sent me a message and they said that it's coming. They like mailed it. So I think like next week it should be here, and I'll open it up for a live video and I'll show you guys. And I can set up in I should probably have some seedlings ready by then. But okay, the thing that I was going to say before I mentioned this light, I've been doing this window of time because I know me, and I know that I knew that talking about these seeds was going to take forever. I knew that like it actually was going to take me 2 hours, which is ridiculous, but like just like it's a gift, but like I guess if I talk about it, it's sponsored. I don't know. I mean, like there was no promises made other than the fact that I said I'd like mention it on the Instagram. But I'm excited about it. And the company that contacted me is a company that I like recognize, because I have like, I have been looking into sometimes people, I've been contacted sometimes by people wanting to send me free stuff in exchange, like for me, showing it. Or I've been offered a few times, like, money to like, talk about something, but it's all been like garbage. And like, I'm not like, I don't need money that bad, like that it's like, oh, $50 to like try to sell you guys garbage. It's like, no. There's like no. Or like I had someone who like had a growing system that I completely don't agree with, and they were like, oh, you should like promote my book, I'll like give you some money. And I was like, oh, thanks for thinking about me, but like, you guys, I'm not gonna bother with that, because like, if I was gonna like, there's more profitable ways to sell myself than to like lie to you guys about like farming and gardening equipment. I'm only gonna take free or like sponsored stuff from stuff I do anyways. It's like all these seed companies. Like none of these seed companies sponsor me. These are just the people that I buy from. I'd be stoked, like, hey, Geo Seeds, send me a coupon. Like that would be amazing. But I don't like. I'm not gonna like stop buying from the companies that I like just because like someone else tries to get me. Okay, but so back. Okay, so I've been doing Wednesdays at noon because my daughter is in school and my son is in daycare. And so this is like a time when I have like a chunk of time to be able to do this without getting interrupted by my kids. But I do know a lot of you guys are like from like Britain, just because the time, it's like such a weird time. And because the live is like one of the few ways that like I can actually like chat with you guys, I don't necessarily like, I don't want to commit that this is like when I'm always gonna go live. It works quite well now. But ideally I'd like maybe like the time to jump around a little bit, especially when Ian's back, when like one or both of us could be doing it, and then we can switch off if the kids need anything, because my kids need me to like make an entire meal for them every half an hour. If you have small kids, they are demanding of attention. But yeah, so I don't know, maybe I'll try to like, it was dropping there, I don't know if it's back. But yeah, so like I'll probably like do something next Wednesday at noon again. But yeah, if there's like a time that works better for you guys, like, send me a message, let me know, like, sometimes maybe. Just because, yeah, like I don't want it to be, it's such a specific time that I don't necessarily want it to be a time that only a few people can join. I'd rather jump around than be able to have the chance to chat with like multiple people because of like our stupid no comments thing. But yeah, so I don't know. I like the lives, so like I like doing them. I like getting to chat with you guys. That's another, like, I try to premiere the videos anytime, like, if, because I'm like, oh, video's done, upload it. I'll usually just like make it a premiere, and then if anyone's around, like, I have a chance to chat with people that way, just to get an opportunity to actually talk with you guys. Yeah, I mean, I'd love to have the comments back, but it's YouTube. I doubt it's gonna happen. Okay, get like every single person to like subscribe to us, because and then like if we can hit 100K subscribers, I think when you hit like 100,000 subscribers, you get like a contact person at YouTube. So then maybe there'd be a chance that I could get a review, like a manual review done on my channel, for them to be like, yeah, you're not a kids channel, like, sure, you can have comments back. But I'm of the opinion that by the time I get 100,000 people, and I have a contact person, that's like gonna be years from now, and by then maybe there's just not going to be comments on YouTube, because there's so many badly behaved people making bad comments. And I feel sympathetic to YouTube, because, like, what are you supposed to do when you're a company and like people are making pedophile comments at kids? Like, it makes sense. Like, any videos with kids, just no comments. Like, how, like, YouTube does their best. Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna go, guys. I yet again talked about seeds for forever. Okay, but okay, because I know I have this light. So next week I will open up the light and I'll do it down at my like in my outbuilding. So I'll be able to hope, maybe I'll have seeds sprouted by then. Fingers crossed, because my peppers maybe. And then I can show those off. But I'm going to make my seed starting video. I only didn't make it this week because I was sick and I couldn't actually talk without coughing. But yes, I will make it and I will get it up before the video. And then that way, if you guys have any other seed starting questions, we can talk about it in the live video. But hopefully I'll be able to cover the basics in that video, which I should work on tomorrow. Okay, well, thank you so much for joining me. It always blows my mind that anyone wants to listen to me gab about seeds. But that'll probably be it, other than just general seed gabbing. No more unboxing of seeds. But all right, thanks, guys. Okay, I'll see you next week.